Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Jacob Dickey here in the Weather Center. It's about 1:23 right now as we're live on Facebook. Maybe some of you come on later and catch this. If so, can just keep getting those updates as they come on in here. Got some good news, and a lot of you probably know what that good news is here, is that we've had some warm air that has helped out here today. We're kind of riding that fine line, and sometimes you don't know if you're going to this way or that way, and we kind of went the warm side barely here, which is good news for us as we talk about things here. And that's been thanks to some dry air as well that's come on in. Are we out of the woods? No, but things are, for many of us, looking a lot better here. This is the latest weather alerts here. We actually pulled back the winter weather advisory for places from Champaign, Danville, Monticello, Decatur, down to the south into Coles County, Shelbyville, Taterville, places like that. Still have it for the I-55 corridor between Springfield up towards Bloomington and Pontiac, and then forward Iroquois, Livingston, and Benton counties also included on that. We had a little surge of some mild air sneak our way, and that has certainly helped things out for us. As we're on here, just want to make sure folks can hear me. Let me check the chat. Remember, I do like to answer questions at the end, so we'll get through this and talk about that. You can see where our temperatures are now. They cut that back because we're at 35 in Decatur, 35 in Mattoon, 34 now in Champaign. Still at 31 and 32 here, Jacksonville and Springfield, 32 as well, Watsika, Pontiac, and in Bloomington. And while that's good news here, there is a chance that once this rain starts to build back into the area, we can still see temperatures drop a degree or two on that. One of those reasons is because of where our dew point values are here. Some dry air helped us to warm up a bit, but maybe we see those numbers come back a touch here. Remember, we're at 32 in Watsika. The dew point is 19. Typically, when you saturate the air and you get that warm air here, like we've got now, warm relative, of course, but when you're saturating that, your temperature is going to come down and your dew point is going to come up, and they tend to meet somewhere in the middle there. So 32 over 19, maybe we could drop a couple of degrees. It could still drop down to 29 or 30 here in Watsika and Pontiac and even Bloomington. We're at 34 over 25 in Champaign, so a good chance that we stay more like 31, 32 at the lowest. And that warmer air now also is helping to thaw out those surfaces. We were in the mid-upper 20s last night. If we stayed even near 32, a lot of those surfaces were primed for moisture to stick to them. Hey, we warmed up, thawed them out, come down a little bit. I think you get the idea how that's going to be better for us here. And then some places down here like Effingham sitting at 32. I'll take it back, show you that temperature. 35 in Effingham. Dew point is at 32. They're getting some rain showers down there. 35 in Mattoon. They're still at 28, but you can kind of see how things are going to play out. So we're going to watch that. That's one thing that we just have to keep an eye on here with those dew point values. Let's talk about where we're seeing some of that precipitation here. Been seeing showers along I-70. Starting to see some signs of some drizzle and light shower activity developing now here in the I-72 corridor. It's very fine. And a lot of times, too, if it's not more of this light rain that I-70 is seeing here, a lot of times if it's a little more fine, sometimes the radar actually cannot pick up on that. If those raindrops, the mist and drizzle particles, they're so small, that radar beam will miss that. It can't read that because of how fine it is. Also, the radar in Lincoln shoots at an angle away from the surface of the Earth. I should say the surface of the Earth drops as that beam shoots out here because the Earth is curved. And so you can actually be sampling over where that mist and drizzle is very close to the surface. So that's a couple of things. We had that this morning. Folks were saying, why is your radar not working in Jacksonville and Springfield when there was freezing drizzle out there? Because it's so fine and so shallow, close to the ground, that radar a lot of times cannot pick up on that. And that's why we like to use a lot of our cameras to identify things and get an idea of what's going on. Let's bring up some of those cameras. The one we've been looking at for a lot of the day has been Jacksonville. Even there was more ice on this earlier. There's not as much now, which is a good thing to see here. And a lot of those other spots as well, just looking more wet and not icy. Still dry in Macon County on this camera, but we will see that rain overspread the area. And I'll show you the cameras as well as around the area, and we'll get future track here in a second. There's Effingham, been some light drizzly showers down there. We'll sneak on over to Springfield and check that out, get a little camera view around the area. We like to have those eyes that are out and about. Let's get real quick here, come up to Champaign. I'm going to adjust that Springfield camera real quick. Should pop up here. Let me fix that real fast. There is Champaign, and then we're going to go to Springfield next and see how things are doing there. Dry here. We haven't had really anything, but that probably changes in the next little bit for us across the I-74 corridor. Let's see here. Look to the south. Let's pull that camera, see if it allows me. Zoom out there. There we go. Okay, let me pull up that Springfield camera. I had it turned a different direction, so before I brought it on, wanted to take a peek here. There is Champaign. There's Springfield. Been kind of some misty, light, showery, drizzly activity there. We'll go, how about we go to Effingham? We were just at Effingham. Let's go to Decatur. I don't think there's going to be anything yet showing up in Decatur here. There's a quick grab at Effingham. How about Decatur now? And then we'll go up to Gibson City and kind of peek around Decatur. It looks like a couple raindrops on the lens there. Some light moisture starting to pick up. Sneak on up to Gibson City. There's some folks that are in Livingston, Ford, McLean, Iroquois counties. Going to have to wait till later this afternoon into the evening and see how things shake out. And then last here, let's take a look at Bloomington. That's the camera that we've got. We've got 12 cameras in the area, and then we do have some IDOT cameras we also use. But for the most part, I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty impressed. If, freezing rain and drizzle is one of those forecasts where the finest detail makes or breaks it. We knew that potential was there. And, being a little bit cautious on those impacts, I am pretty happy to rather err on the side of the caution. There's been a few times before where, we're going to be okay. And suddenly it's like, in an hour we go from nothing to, that freezing drizzle causes big problems. Thankfully, so far, that has not been the case for us here. So far, roads have been fine too. Have not heard of any issues on roads. Did get a couple pictures from Sangamon County, Morgan County, Menard County, places like that, where there was a glaze of ice on cars. But if we get that temperature up 33, 34, 35, even if it comes down, you've warmed that top layer of the ground, which has helped out here. And so we may still see some slick spots develop. Wouldn't surprise me to get to the blue category here, partially covered. That would probably happen parts of Iroquois, Ford, Livingston, McLean counties, potentially as well down towards Springfield, Jacksonville, Virginia, and those areas. And freezing rain is something, too, that, it's just horrendous when you are dealing with it, because it's the finest detail goes from nothing to high impact with that. And it doesn't take much to cause problems. Freezing rain is the great equalizer in these situations. You can have the best tires and the best vehicle that handles the snow perfectly. And on the ice, you are left slipping and sliding just like the rest of us there. So Future Track's been doing a pretty decent job here. It's been picking up on the warmth. Honestly, we're sitting at 34 in Champaign and 35 down in Effingham. And so that's a trend that we watch. Still seeing where it's suggesting 31, 32 here. And as I check some of our observation stations, we've got a lot of local stations that we're starting to add here. Near Cissna Park, 31.3. 31.5 in Fountain Creek, that's in Iroquois County. Up by Sibley, still at 30.6 right now. Pontiac in town is 31.6. You go just east of town, 31.1. So spots up there are still below freezing. Here in Urbana, I've got a 32.5 on the east side. Southwest Champaign, 32.5. And in Mahomet, I've got a 32.4. St. Joseph, it looks like that station's offline. A 33-degree reading in Homer. So we're kind of getting that idea where this is close, still just below freezing, maybe up here. And let's go check out in the Jacksonville area. Looks like west side of Jacksonville, 31.3. Up by Joy Prairie, 31.3. We go up towards Petersburg, north of Athens, 31.8. West side of Springfield, 31.1. By the power plant, 32.4. Auburn, 31.8. So I read those numbers to you to give you an idea of, kind of seeing this pretty close with the idea that these are the areas still near or just below freezing. So what's it look like here as we go through the afternoon? Notice that rain starts to spread on in. And as we get into this evening, that's when I think things really start to pick up. A lot of us would probably be 3, 4 o'clock, like, where's the rain? Where is it? Well, here it comes. And you notice also how these numbers did come down as that heavier rain picked up here. Remember, that temperature and that dew point, they're coming together. So we still aren't out of the woods, but I like this a lot better than sitting below freezing all day before the rain gets here. Not a problem in Mattoon, Charleston, Taterville, Effingham, places like that. And through the night, then, even by 9, 10 o'clock, that freezing line's pretty close to the I-70 corridor. I-74 corridor points to the north where we expect to have the greater impacts. That continues to hold true. While I've got the Future Track, I want to back it up a little bit. You see this little blip here, a little spot of yellow and orange, and see how these are some deep purples? That actually might be some thunder showers that develop, maybe some thunder, freezing rain. There could be a little bit of grapple, maybe some small hail at times with that. It wouldn't surprise me. We're going to watch from 6 p.m. until midnight for maybe some thunder out there. I still think that's on the table as well from this, but where we're sitting now, you can kind of really pick out those cores here, especially as we go off to the east into tonight. But 6 p.m. to midnight or so, kind of watch that. Might be out of here before 10 p.m. as well, so we'll keep an eye on that. I know impact-wise, I'll show you the impact graphic here in a second. This is the best chance to see some rumbles of thunder. Effingham, Mattoon, Charleston, Paris, but it may sneak up to Champaign, Danville as well. We'll have to watch and see how that pans out, but just don't be surprised if you hear a rumble of thunder across the area. Impacts, travel impacts. This map has been overall pretty good here. We've been talking about lesser south, more north. That's still holding true. I went ahead and crossed out the high impact for McLean, Ford, Livingston, Iroquois counties. We're a little warmer, which is good, but we're not warm enough. And so there still will likely be some slick spots that appear up in that area. And then down I-55 as well towards Jacksonville, Springfield, Lincoln, Bloomington. Those areas could have some slick spots. And again, not out of the woods here either in yellow, low. Can't rule it out, but we've got above 32 in many spots. And so that is some good news for us here across the region. All right, that's my update for you. I like where we're sitting. We're not out of the woods, but we're sitting in a good spot to get to the evening commute here with that temperature being just a little higher. Still have the winter weather advisory for the I-55 corridor, Springfield, Lincoln, Bloomington, Clinton included in that, and up towards Pontiac. And then we're also going to include Ford, Iroquois, Benton counties, and areas west of Springfield, and even towards Peoria, up towards Galesburg, LaSalle, Peru, south side of Chicago. Those areas, because of the warmer air here, we kind of shoved that freezing drizzle potential a little further north. So if you're heading north and west tonight, that is certainly something to watch as that rain comes on down. That's what I got for you. While I've got you, there is another system coming on Saturday, and I'm going to answer any questions you have as well here. So if you've got a question, stick it in that chat. We'll answer that in a second. That first system leaves here. Thursday, Friday should be fine. But by Friday night into Saturday, there's another system coming on through. I don't think we deal with snow, but I wouldn't discount some rain and maybe a little freezing rain trying to mix on in Friday night into early Saturday. We should warm up again. But we're going to watch that system. But then things start to look a little more interesting here into the near term. One thing is this boundary stalls south, and that serves as the path for our low pressure systems from here on out. So as we get into next week here, Future Track has been kind of teasing that some more activity may be coming our way. I tend to think the third system, if we count them, 1 today, 2 Saturday, the third, maybe by next Tuesday, will for sure be on the colder side of it. We won't have to deal with this warmth that kind of intrudes and takes us from, snow to mix, sleet, and all that yucky mix. Since that low is to the south, there's plenty of cold air here. So that, to me, favors more snow next week. And there could be a couple of systems that follow this similar track here. Not out of the question that maybe we're too far north. Maybe that snow is farther south here, but just maybe something that's a little more positive is we don't have to worry about, is it freezing rain? Is it warm enough? Do we get a little sleet? If something is coming next week, I tend to think that's going to be a better chance for some snow with that winter pattern that's moving on through. And those extended outlooks tend to also show that. Warmer air to the south and east. Here comes that cold air as we look at the outlook for February 10th to the 14th. And then with that boundary, that cold air north, warm air south, more active pattern means chances for precip are a little higher. And the 8 to 14 day outlook doesn't look much different here. We do lean on the colder side, but the active pattern likely means greatest rain chances just to our south. That low is to the south here. We're on the north side, still above average chances, and you got that cold air helping us out there. So that certainly is something that maybe the snow lovers on here might like to hear. Is it a promise of snow? Absolutely not. But I like that pattern better for next week than I do this week. This week, I just despise freezing rain, folks. I mean, it is a degree makes the difference. It is a nuance. The smallest little thing, trying to figure that out like we are today is a headache. And thankfully, today's headaches maybe are down a little because we got a little warmer. But we've been riding that fine line and still cannot rule out some slick spots this evening. Best chance in those counties under the winter weather advisory. I'd keep an eye here, Macon, Piatt, Champaign, Vermilion County, but we're sitting in a better position than maybe we thought initially we would be. So that's kind of the update on that. Could be some cold rain. That's the one thing, though. Cold rain this afternoon into tonight as things move on through. Okay, let's check, see if there's any questions and see how things are going. Phyllis is saying, hey, I like warm air. We talk about warm versus cold. It's all relative. It was warm on Monday, 65 to 69. Then we got to Tuesday. It was in the 40s, and we were like, oh, that's so cold. Tomorrow, we've got low to mid 40s for temperatures. That's going to be warm compared to today. So, glass half full, glass half empty there. TJ asking about the chances of this missing the Danville area. The freezing rain potential is certainly lower. It's not zero. I think we're still getting some rain. So there will be precipitation that comes, and that's something that is worth noting there. Kaylee's asking about the Vandalia, Illinois camera. We actually don't have a camera in our system. If out of Vandalia, our weather cameras, we've got 10 or 12 of them. I can count them out here. We've got Gibson City, Bloomington, Pontiac, Champaign, a couple here in town, one in Danville. We've got Decatur, we've got Springfield, and then we've got Mattoon and Charleston and Effingham with those cameras there. And we're hoping to get some more added on that, plus the IDOT cameras that we're able to access. But I don't think IDOT has any cameras down that way that we can look into. What else here? Sarah saying it's still cold outside. Yeah, it is still cold outside. You are so right about that. When we talk about cold versus warm, again, that's relative. It's not going to be fun. I do not like cold rain either, but I think I like a cold rain better today than slipping and sliding in frozen roads everywhere. Ethan saying, when is the highest chance of seeing ice in Pontiac? Let me show you. We showed you the future track here. It's going to be 4, 5, 6 p.m. into the evening. Typically, when the sun goes down, your temperatures come down a little bit, and that may happen to help out up there. But I think we're looking better than I thought we were initially. If that gives you an idea, perhaps it's not as high impact, but there'll still be some slick spots and slick roads with a medium impact for Livingston, Ford, Iroquois counties. And then Jamie is saying, it's going to be okay for me to go to Champaign tomorrow morning. Absolutely. There will be zero impacts, regardless of what happens today and tonight, tomorrow in central Illinois. After midnight, our temperatures will come up slightly, get above 32. And that means by tomorrow morning, we should be sitting at maybe even 34, 35. That cold takes care of things. It's out of here, and then we're above freezing. Things will melt, so I have no concerns for road conditions for tomorrow. That seems to be the last of the messages. Thanks for being on here with me. Chief Meteorologist Kevin Lyde will be rolling into the studio. He'll have updates for you at 4, 5, 6, 9, and 10, and we'll keep an eye on things, but not all that displeased with how things are turning out for us here in central Illinois. Have a great afternoon. I guess I'd say enjoy the cold rain, but we may enjoy the cold rain more than we would slick roads and whatnot for a good chunk of us.